Hey folks, Deano here again. This time taking another quick look at one of the Lightning Collection figures from Power Rangers. This is the Mighty Morphin Red Ranger in his Ninja or Ninjetti mode, depending on whether you follow the movie logic or the show. It's the same costume, minor tweaks here and there. But yeah, let's take a look at the box. Standard window packaging from a couple of years ago. I think this one actually released last year, so this is one of the newer ones with pinless joints. Doesn't actually say when, which is a bit strange. I'm used to figures having a creation date. But yeah, standard picture. Got the mask there and a nice render on the back that someone's basically spent 2 seconds on because that pose is horrendous. But yeah, so the Ninja Rangers were season 3 of Mighty Morphin, basically when they were running out of footage. Season 3 is notorious for being pretty much all American footage, aside from a few instances. And that's basically where the ninja outfits came from, which I mean, I don't blame them. The ninja outfits look amazing, but the whole thing stemmed from the fact that they refused back then to switch up the costumes. God only knows why, because the Die Ranger outfits, which is where the Thunder Zords and the White Ranger came from, actually look pretty good. And then Kaku Ranger, which is where these are derived from, which eventually became the Alien Rangers, so they ended up using the outfits anyway. Like, I don't understand it. I really don't. But hey, if they wouldn't have been so dogmatic, we wouldn't have got this design, which is probably one of the most unique semi-civilian modes that they've ever given us for Power Rangers. So yeah, having no weapons, they come with a load of heads instead. So he comes with a pair of martial arts, sort of Goku style posy hands, and a pair of fists, which I have checked, it is actually same sculpt but a bit different, if that makes sense. It's not the standard gloves that you get with the actual suits. You get an effect piece, which is for popping onto his hand. It sort of fits, sort of doesn't. It's weird. Like, that's about as good as you're going to get it. Which, yeah. They haven't really moulded it too well, let's be honest. But it's a decent enough looking thing. In terms of heads, you get the movie style powered down. Or powered down. They're not actually powers. Yeah, with the headband, it's quite cool. You get the movie style powered up form, complete with this piece, which also works with the civilian head. So yeah, this also counts for, you see it for a split second in the transformation sequence, so I think that's how Hasbro got away with it, because rumour has it they don't actually have the rights to the movie, which I think is a bit strange considering they own the rights to the entire Power Rangers franchise. But there you go. And you've got the sort of full face wrap setup, which they used in the show, obviously to hide the fact that they were stunt actors and not the actual civilian actors. So yeah, a lot of people don't like these masks. I think it makes them look closer to actual Rangers than the other ones do. so I actually quite like them. Plus, this makes it look as if it's flowing in the wind, which is pretty decent. It does pop off a lot easier, being smaller pegs. I wish they would just go with this size peg, like just in general. I don't understand why they don't. So what you do is you just pop that over there and pop that onto the neck, if it will actually go for me. Come on. There we go. So yeah, looks cool, but in terms of a disguise, not so much. People would definitely be able to tell it was you just from seeing the top half of your face, which is why I prefer the full face wrap. I know, a bit strange. But yeah, these heads and stuff go on and off so much easier than the helmets. I have no idea why they don't just go with this, just in general. Like, honestly, it would save so much trouble. And there we go. That's him with the civilian get-up. In terms of likeness to Cardenas, or Rocky as he's known in the show, you can see it from certain angles, but this is more them going back to standard painting techniques as opposed to the older figures which were digital printing, so they come across a bit more cartoony than they would be otherwise. Yeah, I'd still say it's decent enough. Put the head wrap back on. There we go. Yeah, that's us. So yeah, in terms of details on the figure, they're not a whole lot. It's mostly just red plastic. The white paint is unfortunately a bit sloppy. You can see on the edges it's missing the mark a little bit there. This is sort of rubber piece, that's probably why. The coin for the ape is actually really nicely tampographed on there. But yeah, the diamonds and such are well painted. Nothing's really missed. Only thing missing is the sort of boot tie details on the back, but no one's ever going to see that anyway, are they? But yeah, all in all, mostly a decent paint apps. In terms of articulation, it's a little bit all over the place, unfortunately, because these are such baggy clothes, baggy outfits. Hasbro really struggled to design them to look natural when they're not in a pose. So yeah, you can see these massive gaps here and behind the knees, but then I am used to that with figure arts, so it doesn't really bother me all that much. Yeah, in terms of articulation, the head can look up really far, down decent enough, and because it's such a small peg compared to most, it's got pretty much free rein for movement. It does have a sort of strange setup here. So you've got the butterfly joint, then you've got this floating rubbery piece over the hinge, so you have to put that underneath to get it to go up. Can move with it. Bicep swivel, just kind of at a weird angle, but it does work. Double joint at the elbow, hinge at the wrist. You do you actually have? No, you don't have the standard ab crunch. You've got sort of ball joint hidden in the waist. So yeah, a bit strange for a ninja. I'd also like to point out this side, the butterfly joint seems to be pretty far out of the body. I'm not sure if that's because of the way the rubber floating piece is, but it works. That's about all you can hope for. It does have pull down joints, but for some strange reason, Hasbro thought it was a good idea. Don't know if you can actually see it in there. They put little nubbins on the ball peg, so it's not like free moving. I think that's their attempt to answer like loose joints, but it doesn't really work. It just makes it feel like you're about to snap the peg clean off. So yeah, don't really like that. In terms of it, it can kick up a decent amount. Double joint at the knee. The boot cut is still there, and the patented Hasbro joint at the foot, which gets really nice range, and it's actually not overly tight for once, probably because it's a different design. But yeah, guys, I love this figure. I really do. Growing up, this was probably my favourite season of Power Rangers. A lot of people love to say, oh, it's when the Green Ranger was there and stuff like that. But this was when Power Rangers were actually experimenting with their own stuff, their own designs. I mean, fair enough, it was due to the fact that they were terrified kids wouldn't move on to a different suit design, which is why they took so long to adapt the new suits. But yeah, in my opinion, season 3 with the Ninja Zords and stuff like that was probably my favourite. It was a combination of old and new at the time. So yeah, apart from that, guys, that'll do it for this review. I'll see y'all later.